I have made some terrible decisions in my life, like really strange self-sabotaging decisions about relationships and jobs and the way I expressed myself when I was angry. Have you done this? You know you're doing something that's not right because the people around you are giving you that kind of concerned, judgy face. Do you know the face I'm talking about? But because of that agitation inside from past trauma, you can't see in the moment that you're making a terrible decision. So instead of pulling back to think, you blame the people judging you, thinking it's them. They just don't understand me. And then you make the self-destructive choice anyway, to move in with somebody, you just met, or marry someone who treats you badly, or go the other way and choose to isolate yourself, or storm out of a job that you actually liked and that you need because your past trauma got triggered and you felt this urgent need to make the feeling stop. Have you done that part too? These are the decisions that change the course of your life. They cut you off from what you want and keep you stuck and in danger of even more trauma. I call these trauma-driven decisions. And you thought that you were doing the right thing, but your trauma was distorting your perception. If you've made some decisions that were driven by past trauma, I want to help you change the pattern. How do you know when you're doing it and teach you how to make better decisions going forward, even if you're still in the early stages of healing from what happened to you? Now, a trauma-driven decision is when you choose something important without being in touch with what you actually want, with your own values, or with what is in your best interest. And in the moment you have to make that decision, you're thinking, oh no, I'm trapped, or I better take whatever I can get, or I'm going to end up with nothing and I'll be alone. Or you submit to pressure to make a financial decision that you know on some level is not a good idea. And why do we do this? Well, it could be dysregulation, which you've heard me talk about a lot. That's the sort of chaotic state in your nervous system. And you may have experienced it when something triggers you and makes you feel sort of flustered, or your mind goes blank, or you'll react with strong emotions or even emotional numbness. And a lot of systems in your brain and nervous system are going slightly out of sync when you're dysregulated, including your mood, your thinking, and your physiology. Now, in particular, it can complicate your thinking when you're trying to make a decision. And this study out of the University of Wisconsin explains what happens. For people who experienced abuse and neglect in childhood, a present-day stressor can short-circuit your reasoning and make it hard to assign appropriate weight to the relative risks involved in the decisions that face you. You can't see the downsides of them. You can't see them accurately anyway, and you can't see them in the moment. And at the same time, the stress of the decision heightens your emotions. So let's say you're on a first date and you know you shouldn't rush in, but just the act of trying to decide what to do at the end of the evening can shut down your ability to evaluate risk. It can increase the emotional intensity that's telling you, oh yeah, this will be great. And there's nothing to lose, so why not? And that's the fuzzy decision making starts to happen in that way in all areas of your life. When you're thinking of buying a television, or when you feel like giving your boss a piece of your mind, or when you're tempted to tell a small lie about something. And in the moment, it seems like no big deal. But with trauma from childhood, your normal sense of what's a good idea and what's a bad idea is shut down. You can't sense the potential consequences. Not really. No. From the outside, it looks like plain old impulsiveness. And yes, it is impulsive. That accurately describes what it is. But that's not what it feels like. And I want you to think about these feelings because they can help you to notice when you're about to make a trauma-driven decision. Just noticing this can help you pause your decision making and use your tools to re-regulate yourself and get a reality check. We need that because childhood trauma can cause us to make major decisions for reasons other than what's best for us. Our trauma can distort reality and drive the decision. Anger does it. Shame does it. Hating ourselves does it. Trauma brings up harsh emotions, and we become willing to do anything to make the feeling stop. So childhood trauma can create a constant emotional background in which there is desperation, just to feel okay. It can drive you to grasp on to, rash decisions for what feels like survival or what feels like the only chance to have that one good thing that you never had. And it feels worth it to just go for it no matter what the cost, no matter what happens after that. I understand that. I've been there. And when you make some ridiculous sacrifice to know the feeling of fulfillment just for a little bit, to try to feel some dignity, to try to feel some legitimacy, and on some level it's not going to actually work out like that. But at least it's something you're thinking, instead of nothing. At least you're trying. So when you're in the process of deciding something destructive, that's not what it feels like. Sometimes the trauma-driven decision is to say terrible things to people, and it seems so necessary in the moment. Something uncomfortable happens, and your trauma thinks, see, everyone does this to me, and I've got to stop it. So you say something hurtful, or you never speak to them again. And it hurts you more than it hurts other people most of the time. But make no mistake, trauma-driven decisions can hurt other people, especially the ones who depend on you. So let's go over ways that you can tell when you're making a trauma-driven decision. All right, first, you're telling yourself that a situation that you're about to get into may be bad, but you're rationalizing it by telling yourself that without this relationship, no one will ever love you, or no other place will ever hire you, or no other landlord will ever rent to you. You're rationalizing. And this is what I call crap fit. You're just taking whatever's right in front of you. Or you go running out on something that normally was a good thing, that was a good part of your life, a job or a relationship or a friendship, out of anger or shame or panic, or to make someone see how it feels. I'll show them. Have you ever done that? All right, the second thing is you think about hurting yourself. This is the ultimate trauma-driven decision. And if that's happening for you right now, don't even watch the end of this video. Reach out right now to a person who can help you. If you need online therapy, you can contact BetterHelp. There's a link down below. If you have a therapist, call them. If you need a hotline, call the hotline. But first things first, take care of yourself. Never, ever hurt yourself. That's a trauma-driven decision if I ever saw one. Another thing, you do something another person wants, only because you're not yet strong enough to say it's not what you want. And sometimes this is people-pleasing or coercion. Or sometimes it's just confusion about what you want. A lot of us don't know. Childhood trauma can make it hard, to have that and to know what you want when you're in the presence of other people who express themselves easily or strongly about their wants and needs. And if you think you don't deserve to have a voice when you're making decisions with someone else, that could be the trauma talking. All right, another one. You could be making a trauma-driven decision when you find your standards for what's acceptable are going all over the place. And one day you say you won't tolerate something, the next day you have some reason why this time it's okay. We've all done that, but it's a sign you're making a trauma-driven decision. Another is you're accepting unacceptable things with the rationale that in the future, you'll start requiring something better, or in the future, the other person will change, or in the future, you'll change, or you'll have different choices. Maybe. The next one is when you're thinking about making a tough decision, you find yourself avoiding talking to anyone because you suspect or you know that they'll see right through it and call you out on it. So either you hide or you lie or you omit little details to avoid their judgment, basically because you're ashamed because you know the decision is not a good one. So what can you do? Here are 7 things. 1, write down what you really want in your life. Don't omit things just because they seem impossible. Keep this list of what you want as a reference when stress, dysregulation, and pressure to make a fast decision about something tempts you towards accepting less than what you want. Number 2, slow down your decisions. People who had trauma in childhood just do better when they have time to consider big decisions, especially if it's emotions like fear, lust, or anger. And when those feelings are running high, right, it gets in the way. Number 3, run decisions by a trusted friend or mentor or therapist. And this needs to be someone who has at least some wisdom about life and who has your best interest at heart. Number 4, you can do some research on your options. And this is called due diligence. You can get online, you can do some research, ask people who might have faced this decision before. Get the details you need to make the best decision for you. Don't rush it. Number 5, when someone else is involved in your decision making, you can muster the courage to express your concerns about going forward. Sometimes when magical thinking is happening between two people, it only takes one person to say how they really feel or what they fear, and the magic vanishes in a good way, and it leaves behind the real part, which is always what you need. You need to know how everyone really feels. Reality is where you want to be. Number 6, if you have to make a big decision alone, you can try thinking of someone in your life, living or dead, who loves you and cares about you, and ask yourself, given what I know today, what would they tell me to do? Or what would a person who didn't have a traumatic childhood do? That's a question I ask myself sometimes. What would normies do? Is this something that needs more time for me to figure out whether it's good for me? Is this good for my children? And, if you have children, it's a good reference point, because what's good for them is generally what's good for you. But if you're like me, you have higher standards for the kids, and those are often the standards that you actually need for yourself as well. Number 7, while you're thinking it through, check in with yourself. Some things that you can ask yourself here are, is there something you know, but you're trying not to see, right? You just don't want to see it because it will sort of ruin the momentum. Are you choosing next steps that will lead to those things that you really want, or are you keeping your options open? Is there anything you don't like about the choice that you're considering? Get it out now. And finally, with any choice that worries you, think for a moment, are you able to make a different choice at this point? With the choice that worries you, visualize what steps you take and what it feels like to change your mind. Like, just walk through that scenario, make friends with it. You might not see that changing your mind is possible, and sometimes we have to acquaint ourselves with it. At least the possibility of changing our mind has to be real to us and doable for us, and then you can see how that feels. One great thing about healing trauma is that you have choices, and that means when you make a mistake, and we all make mistakes, you'll have the ability to see it and do something about it and get back on your path quickly. It helps when you know the signs that your thinking is driven by trauma. So how can you tell? I have a list of signs that childhood PTSD may be still affecting you now. And if you want your own copy of that, you can download it by clicking right here, and I will see you very soon.